So it seems this week that Alex and I have a whole lot in common. We're both in new locations, and we've both been to 50 states. At least he's pretty sure he has been, and I have been told, as a matter of fact, I have been, though I do not remember all of them. I remember 20 out of the 50 states that I've been to, and then I've also been to the capital, which is technically not considered a state. I've done a fair bit of traveling myself. I've been out of the country before. I've gone to Mexico and a couple different places because I have family there that we go to visit every once in a while. So traveling's kind of just been a big thing for me. Also, like Alex, when I was younger we went on road trips, and I remember going on a road trip from home all the way to El Paso, Texas, and I live in southern Nevada. Well, I grew up in southern Nevada. I don't live there anymore. So that was quite a trip to go, and we had stops along the way, of course, and I don't remember how long we took. Though I've never done a cross-country trip, though honestly I'd be really intrigued to. One of my uncles has done the cross-country trip several times because he's traveled to art shows where he sells his jewelry. And honestly, I think I like road trips the most, mainly because when I was younger, I had ear problems. I don't have them anymore, but whenever I go on airplanes, whenever we're going up, my ears will pop, but like that, right when it hits that half-hour mark, right before or during the time when you hear the flight attendants tell you, oh, we're preparing for our landing, so please, you know, close all your trays and put your seat backs up and make sure your seatbelt's on and whatnot. During that whole tiny spiel, one of my ears, typically my right ear, refuses to pop, and it gets very painful to the point where it feels like someone is sticking a needle through my ear. I mean, I've had a fair amount of accidents when I was younger, so the pain doesn't bother me so much as the fact that I tend to be sitting there and my eyes will start to water from the amount of pain and because of where exactly the pain is. And because of that, I've learned a lot of neat tricks in dealing with it, like taking a decongestant before I get on the plane, so that way if I want to fall asleep on the plane, I can without my ears refusing to pop. Because, fun fact, when you fall asleep on airplanes, your ears don't just adjust to the pressure automatically like they do when you're conscious. So if you go to sleep and your ears are fine and you wake up and you kind of feel like that like cloudy thing where everything sounds really distant until suddenly like there's popping, it's because your ears don't pop in your sleep. I've also learned a few other tricks, kind of like the whole chewing gum or just chewing your tongue sort of thing to get your ears to pop, because the movement of your jaw causes where all that fluid's adjusting and whatnot to adjust a little faster and whatnot. So it's always really awkward for me because of my ear pain when it happens for me to be like sitting next to people, because then I'm sitting there and I'm doing and I'm trying all the things that I do whenever I want my ears to pop to try and hurry it along a little bit and to stop the pain, because no one likes being in pain. So I stop from what I'm doing and just I'm like sitting there and I'm like kind of frantic and like rubbing my ears and like looking up and chewing and all these things, and like tears coming down my eyes, and it just, I feel like for strangers looking over at me, if they don't know what I'm going through, it's just kind of really weird. But that's probably the only part about airplane travel that I dislike, because it's typically my most common form of travel. Though honestly, I think I have to say road trips are my favorite, partially because we did them a lot when I was growing up, but also I think there's just something about like traveling with a group of friends or family and just like road tripping it somewhere for a weekend or like longer, depending on whatever your travel plans may be. As far as where I want to go, I also suffer the problem of not necessarily having the money or the time to do that at the moment. Australia and New Zealand are definitely near the top of my list, though the top of my list is actually Ireland. I want to go to Ireland and England. I have a great aunt who frequently visits Ireland, and I'd like to make that trip, maybe with her one year, or just whoever. I'm one of those people that just really wants to go and travel the world a lot, because a lot of places look really interesting and there's a lot of things to do. And I think in part that comes from growing up with my mom and my dad, who are both very avid travelers and have destinations they want to go to. I think my dad in general just wants to like see the world, or as much of it as he can. My mom has a very specific plan. She wants to visit Italy within her lifetime, and what she would really like to do is go with my sister, myself, and my aunt and my 3 cousins all in one trip to spend like a couple weeks where we're just like in a villa or something and just like relaxing in Italy and enjoying Italy, because both my mom and my dad have very different perspectives on how they travel. My mother is much more for the experience of being in a different place and kind of just like having a nice place that you retreat to, and like, you know, going to the pool and going out to restaurants within the city and stuff, not necessarily all the tourist spots and whatnot. Though she does like going to like gardens and stuff to see these old estates and whatnot, which is what we've done a lot within the States. Whereas my dad is much more the kind of person who will make sure we get to the big tourist spots, but at the same time helps find these estates and like these little places or like these smaller museums or whatnot that he's heard about or found in his tour book, or heard about from a friend who lived in the area or visited the area and found it, and will go there. My dad tends to plan very hectic holidays, while my mom, on the other hand, is much more about the experience and about the people you're with and kind of just having a more chilled out type of vibe. And I find myself somewhere in between most of the time, because I like to make it to places where a lot of people have seen and like the tourist spots, because I mean, they're tourist spots for a reason. There's like a big attraction to it or whatnot, unless it's something where I really could care less about. But at the same time, I very much want a vacation to be what it's supposed to be, a vacation. I really want to do a road trip within the next few years. I don't know where exactly my end destination would be in point before turning around and coming back. Though there is something I've heard about that's really cool, and it'll take a bit of training and some money to do, but I really like this idea of a trip that my boyfriend and I have talked about and we both want to try to do, where there's a trail connecting San Francisco to Seattle, I believe. Biking that instead of a car ride, it'd be a bike trip, and I think that'd be really fun. I think that's a really interesting idea of biking places. It seems weird to me because part of that vacation is definitely a workout, because you are biking from hotel to hotel or like campsite to campsite, but at the same time you're getting to see all that scenery and whatnot, and like you still get to visit all these places and you can plan out how long you stay where and stuff. And it just, I don't know, it sounds really cool, and it's going to take a bit of training. It's going to take a bit of training not only to get used to riding a bike for that length of time, but also to actually be able to ride at a speed that I'm comfortable at, that needs to be reached in order to make it within a set amount of days. So traveling is a big thing for me. I don't think I have any reservations for it. Speaking of travel, just because I figure I should mention it right before I end this video, is that while you will see this place again, because this is where I will be for the majority of the summer, and I'm gonna be in a different place next week, but I will be back in this place the week after. So there's gonna be a bit of moving around occasionally. So be prepared for that. Otherwise, see you next week, guys.